Hi, Richland County readers. My name is Jamie Tom. I'm one of the educators at the South Carolina Aquarium in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm really excited to be a part of your summer reading program. I really love your theme, Tales and Tales. As you can imagine, here at the South Carolina Aquarium, we have a lot of animal tales, and we also love to tell their stories or their tale. So today we're going to be focusing on reptile tales. But before we do that, I just want you guys to take a minute to think, why do animals have tails? Think about a dog, maybe think about a monkey or a peacock, maybe a white-tailed deer. Why do they have those tails? There's actually a lot of reasons why animals have tails, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them. They might use their tail for moving, to communicate, to attract a mate, to protect themselves, to get food, and for stability. Let me show you some pictures of those. So looking at this one, I'm talking about how animals use their tail for moving. Think about flying for a bird or swinging through the trees for a monkey or swimming like a fish. Another reason they use their tail is to communicate. We see this a lot with our pets at home even, our dogs and our cats. And if you watch, when a dog is excited, it's gonna wag its tail back and forth, but when it's scared, it's gonna tuck that tail away. So they can use their tails for communication. For attracting a mate, a really good example of that is the peacock. You can see the male peacock displaying those feathers, trying to attract a female. Animals also use their tails to protect themselves. So you can see the scorpion, of course, they have that tail to be able to sting their prey or their predators. But you can also think of a lizard. Lizards will lose their tail, so the predator can eat the tail and they can get away and grow a new one. So lots of different ways that animals protect themselves with their tails. Another one is for getting food. This is a picture of a monkey and how he can use his tail to hold on so that he's able to get food. And then stability. Two great pictures here with our possum and our prehensile porcupine. You can see how they're using their tail to make sure that they don't fall out of the trees. So lots of different reasons that animals have tails. And like I mentioned, we are going to focus on reptile tales today during our program. So let's think about the different groups of reptiles. There are a lot of different reptiles in the world, and they're all a part of these four groups. So lizards, snakes, turtles, and crocodilians. Now, when you talk about crocodilians, there's several different crocodilians. That would include the crocodiles, the alligators, the gharials, and the caimans. So if you've ever heard of any of those are all considered crocodilians. So what makes a reptile a reptile? There are four main characteristics. All reptiles have scaly skin, they lay eggs, they breathe air, and they're cold-blooded. So today during the program, we're going to be focusing on these reptile tales, and I'm going to introduce you to three different reptiles. So the first one that you're going to meet today, his name is Neo, and Neo is a juvenile alligator. So I'll bring him out, and what I mean by juvenile is he is between 2 and 3 years old. Here he is. You guys can see him. Sometimes he gets a little wiggly, we'll see. But this is a juvenile alligator. He's between 2 and 3 years old. And like I mentioned, his name is Neo. And his story is he was born at Alligator Adventure in Myrtle Beach. He was a little small, and he came to live with us when he was about a year to a year and a half old. And he'll stay with us here at the South Carolina Aquarium until he's about 4 feet. And we do that because we love our visitors to learn about the importance of alligators and how important they are to our ecosystems. So he's going to wiggle around a little bit. He might even show you his teeth right there. And alligators are commonly found in swamps and marshes and ponds. And of course, we have a lot of those here in South Carolina. And so we definitely wanted to talk about Neo today and his story. But let's focus on his tail. So if we look at Neo, he's going to wiggle a little bit. But if we look at Neo, you're going to see that he is half tail and half body. So right here where my fingers are is where his tail starts. He's about 18 inches long, and he is half tail and half the rest of his body. And there's a lot of different reasons why alligators have tails. So think about that for just a second while I show you some other features. Think about, why does an alligator have a tail? Right, a couple other features I can show you today. Look at those teeth. Of course, this animal is a meat eater, and so he has sharp teeth to be able to eat meat. As a juvenile, he's going to be eating small fish, maybe little frogs, some insects. But as he gets bigger, an alligator can grow to be about 12 feet on average. So he has a lot of growing to do. He's only 1.5 feet now, and he's going to grow on average to be 12 feet. And when he's big, of course, he's going to eat larger animals. Things like, again, larger fish. He might eat birds, turtles, frogs. So lots of things that live near or in the water. Alligators are freshwater animals. So they're not going to be found in the ocean very often or in the salt marshes. They do like fresh water. So swamps and ponds and freshwater marshes. He's doing a really good job of showing you his teeth. Something else I can show you with this guy are his webbed feet. You can see it really well here with his back feet. He has webbed feet in order to be able to swim. He also has claws. You guys can see those claws? Those claws help him to get out of the water so that he can lay in the sun. All right, so that brings us to his tail. Did you guys think of different reasons why an alligator has a tail? A lot of them. But number one is for swimming. I bet that's what you guys were thinking. The number one reason why they have a tail is for swimming. Very strong. They can push their tail back and forth in order to move themselves forward in the water. But they can also use their tail to get out of the water. So they can press down on their tail and help push their body out of the water when they want to lay in the sun. I mentioned that reptiles are cold-blooded, so they like to lay in the sun to warm up. And they will do that by pushing their tail and getting out of the water. And they can use their tail to knock things over, whether it's prey or to protect themselves from predators. They can use their tail in that way. But one of my favorite ways they can use their tail is they can use the fat that is stored in their tail to get through the winter. So in the winter, it's cold. They're cold-blooded animals and they don't move around well whenever it's cold. So when they're in the wintertime, whenever they need to get fat, they can actually use fat storage in their tails all winter long. Now, if it's a warm day, they will come out and find food to eat. But if it's cold in the winter, they're going to be relying on those fat storage. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed meeting Neo today, our American alligator. I'm going to put him away so that you guys can meet another reptile today that has a fascinating tail. This animal's name is Colonel. See if you guys can try to figure out what animal you're about to meet. His name is Colonel. I don't know if that's going to help or not. Let me clean my hands, make sure my hands stay clean between our animals today. All right, Colonel is named Colonel because he's a corn snake, like a kernel of corn. That's why we named him Colonel. So meet Colonel, everyone. Colonel is a corn snake, very common snake that we have here in South Carolina. And you might find them in cornfields, of course. They're not eating the corn. They are going to be eating the mice and the rats that live in the cornfields. You might also find them in a forest, near a swamp or a pond. So they're not going to live in the water, but they are going to need to drink water. So they're going to have to live near a stream or a pond or a swamp in order to find water. They can even drink water out of a puddle or off of a leaf, like the dew on a leaf. All right, so what's Colonel's story? We don't really know how old Colonel is. He came to live with us and we didn't really get a lot of background information on him. But as you can see, he's pretty used to being around people. And he might even go over and sniff that camera. Sometimes he likes to do that. But he is one of our education ambassador animals. So he lives with us so that we can talk about the importance of snakes. They are very important, everybody. I know so many people are scared of snakes, but they eat mice and rats. And that's very important to us to make sure that we don't have too many mice and rats in the world. So the snake is loving me right now because my arm is nice and warm. So he's probably going to feel nice and warm sitting on my arm. I think that's why he's doing that. All right, everybody, let's talk a little bit about Colonel's tail. First of all, where is it? Because a lot of people feel like snakes are all tail, and that's not really true. This is the head, of course, you can see the head. And then they have their body, And then at the end is where their tail is. So if I look right here, you can see, oh, he's gonna make it a little harder for us to be able to see his tail. Let's see. Make sure you guys get to see this. His tail begins right here, where my finger is. That's called the anal plate. That's where they go to the bathroom. And from below my finger to the very tip, that's his tail. So it's about 6 inches, maybe 7 inches. And then the rest of him is all body. So his tail has skin and muscle and bone, but the rest of his body has all of his organs. So his heart, his lungs, his digestive system, all of that is found in his body. And then of course his head is right up here. And he's sticking his tongue out in order to smell you guys. All right, so now that you know where the tail is, then now you know it's not quite as long as you think. All right, I want to share a picture with you guys. I want you guys to see this picture because what's really neat about a snake's tail is a lot of times you can use the tail to figure out if it's a venomous or a non-venomous snake. All right, so let me show you this picture. All right, if you guys look at this picture, you can see that a non-venomous snake on its tail has a double row of scales, and a venomous snake has a single row of scales. Now, you never want to get too close to a snake to really look at those differences because we do want to leave them alone in the wild. But if you find a snake shed, because that's how they grow, then you could look at that too. But let's look and see. What do you guys think? Double row of scales or a single row? It might be kind of hard to tell on the computer screen. Well, you should probably already know that I wouldn't be holding a venomous snake because I'm not quite that brave. But on his tail, he has a double row of scales. So that lets us know that this is a non-venomous snake. Now, we don't use the word poisonous and non-poisonous because there's really no such thing as a poisonous or a non-poisonous snake. We use the terms venomous and non-venomous. And the reason for that is it's because it's venom inside the fangs. It's not poison. All right, so when you talk about something that's poisonous, you think about something that you eat or that you touch that causes a reaction. But with this venomous snake, they'd have to bite in order to have a reaction. But again, that's not Colonel. Colonel is a non-venomous corn snake. All right, you guys can imagine snakes use their tails for a lot of reasons, but the biggest one is to help them move and to help them hold on. So this is a really excellent climber. Corn snakes can climb trees and they can hold on to the branches with their body and their tail. They have strong muscles to help them do that. All right. Glad you guys got to meet Colonel, but I want to move on. The next animal I want to introduce you to is one of our sea turtles. One of our sea turtles named Charlotte. And I sure hope that you guys are going to be able to see her okay today because sometimes they hide from us. So let me put on my headphones because we're going to go out into the aquarium and you guys are going to be able to see one of our sea turtles. All right. Now I also want to make sure I don't hurt your tummies.
All right, now you can probably hear me this way. I also don't want to hurt your tummy whenever I am going out here and trying to find the exhibit. So I'm going to turn off my camera for just a second and tell you where we're going. And then I'll turn on my camera again so that you guys can see where we are. So I am taking you right now out into our sea turtle recovery. Now this is an exhibit where we have all of our recovering sea turtle. Our goal with this program is to get these sick and injured sea turtles back out into the wild. So they come to us with all sorts of injuries like boat strikes. Sometimes they have a disease or they have parasites. Sometimes they get wrapped up in fishing line. So they come to live with us, and our goal is to take care of them. All right, see if I can show you Charlotte. All right, everybody, here she is. It's a little hard to see with the glare, but she's going to swim around. And I know this is a tails and tails program, and it's probably going to be pretty hard to see her tail. Oh, you might have seen just a little bit there. Turtles don't really do a whole lot with their tails. They do use them a little bit for steering when they're swimming. But their tail doesn't have a huge function to it. Where they go to the bathroom is at the base of their tail, so that's part of it. And then you can sometimes tell a female from a male by looking at the size of the tail. Now that's really hard to do because you don't know if they're full grown or not, of course, but if you can ever look at the tail and it's bigger, that's usually a sign that it's a male. And if the tail is smaller, then that's a sign that it's a female. That's going to be hard to do, and you're not really able to see Charlotte's tail. But let me tell you her story, because she has a pretty incredible story. So this is a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle, and she came to us because she swallowed a fishing hook. So she thought she was eating food when she grabbed onto that shrimp or that squid, but it ended up that it was bait on a fisherman's hook. And when she bit into that hook, of course, that does not feel good. So she swallowed that hook and had to come to the South Carolina Aquarium for us to remove that hook. We also found when she came in that she had a second hook on her flipper on the outside. So she actually had a hook in her throat, and she also had a hook in her flipper. So she came to us and had surgery to remove that hook from her throat, and we were also able to take out the hook from her flipper. She was feeling a lot better, but that's when we discovered that she had a bone infection. We're not exactly sure how that happened, but she has a bone infection called osteomyelitis. So she's going to be with us for a little while to make sure that we can get rid of that bone infection, make sure she's healthy before she goes back into the ocean. So those of you that love to go fishing, one thing I can tell you is that you want to use a circle hook instead of a J hook when you're fishing in the ocean, especially. If you use a circle hook, you're not going to catch turtles very easily. If you use a J hook, you might catch a turtle. And so we don't want that to happen. And so try and use those circle hooks instead of J hooks. All right, I hope you guys really enjoyed meeting Charlotte today. She's a beautiful turtle, and hopefully we will be able to release her back to the wild someday soon. All right, I've had a lot of fun with you guys today. I do have something else I want to share with you. I want to share with you a list of books that you guys could read in order to learn more about tails. So this is a list of 3 books, different levels of different animal tail books. But then we also have a list of reptile books that you might want to look into in order to learn more about reptiles and their tails. So one of these is a nonfiction book, and one of these is a fiction book. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I send this book list to your library so that they can share it with you in case you don't get a chance to write these down. And then I'll also send a coloring sheet that has animal tail bookmarks on it. So you can color those and use those to put the bookmark inside of your favorite book. All right, what I'm going to do now, everybody, is I'm going to turn the camera back around to me so that I can say goodbye and let you know how much I enjoyed doing this program for you guys today. I hope you have a fantastic summer. And if you get a chance to come to the aquarium, we'd love to see you. Have a great time, everybody, this summer. Bye.